Hi everyone, Sherry from Granny's Sewing Room, stopping in to say hi and let you know what I've been working on. Last night I got on board with the table runners everybody's making. I think they're doing Santa Claus. I like snowmen, that's my favorite. But from Sweet Pea Designs. But I don't know that I'm going to continue making the table runner. I'm thinking about putting a frame on it and making it a little wall hanging or door hanging for my granddaughter's apartment. So that's what I did last night. Today I'm going to do a tutorial on In the Hoop tooth fairy pillow. The design is from Embroidery Gardens. I believe it's still free on her website, but I will put a link in the bottom to her website and to Sweet Pea. But these are what they look like. I still need to add a bow to her so she can have a bow with her little hair. But then they put the tooth in here and then you put the money in there. I still have to stuff it with fiberfill and then I'll hand stitch it closed. But I will show you the steps that I do to make that. This time around I put 2 of them in the hoop, and that's good, you know, long as you're not trying to film it and, you know, take it out of the hoop or off the machine too much, because it jumped out of the hoop when I was starting this little guy. I got it lined back up pretty good, but still made a few mistakes, but I don't think my grandson's going to notice that. So I think they turned out cute. There are several different types of tooth fairy pillows you can do in the hoop. So I will maybe show a couple pictures of some of the ones that I've done so far for people. I want to tell all my new viewers, thank you for joining, and thank you for all the comments and the thumbs up that you guys given me. Please do me a favor, continue to hit the thumbs up and share my YouTube channel. I am trying to grow my YouTube channel. This is my new adventure at 63, almost 64 in a couple months. So, has anyone told you you're special today? If not, let me be the first, because you are in God's eyes. I want to thank everybody for praying with me. You said some comments about praying with me, so I appreciate that. And I had a really good thought, because someone was telling me they liked my apron that I made. I thought it would be a cool idea if we did an apron challenge. Let me know if anybody's interested in doing a holiday apron for either Thanksgiving or Christmas. And you can send me your pictures and I will post them all online on this channel, everybody's apron creation. I thought that would be fun. I am wanting a new apron probably for Thanksgiving or Christmas, so I thought that might be interesting and fun, all the different aprons we can come up with. And it doesn't seem like it's real overwhelming just to make an apron, so pretty straightforward. So I will let you go, and till next time, everyone have a blessed day. And if I'm not back before Halloween, have a safe Halloween. Bye everyone. God bless. Tooth fairy pillow in the hoop. So the design came from Embroidery Garden. It's a free pattern on her website, and I will put the link in the description below. What you need for this pattern will be 2 pieces of either terry cloth or fleece fabric, and you will get the sizes if you go to her link. I'll give you this, she'll give you the sizes. And then you're going to need 2 pieces of large jumbo rickrack, any color you want for the teeth. Scrap fabric for eyeballs. I like to put hair on mine, so some yarn that you want to match your tooth fairy pillow. For the body of the monster, the back part, you will need one large piece. I use a glue stick for the rickrack. This is the inside of the mouth. I usually use 2 coordinating fabrics, but you don't have to, because the back part you won't really see. So use 2 pieces of fabric for the mouth. I use pins, threads for the eyes and the stitching it together on the machine. Of course, you're going to need an embroidery machine. And then I also use 505 spray. I'll show you the steps in making a in the hoop tooth fairy pillow. And I am going to add a name to it. Now I hooped a cuttable stabilizer in my hoop because this just gives more stability to the tooth fairy pillow. So then you just kind of cut the tooth fairy pillow out of this stabilizer and that will stay in the tooth fairy pillow. Once your hoop is on your machine, I'm going to see if I can add 2 tooth fairy pillows at once and sew 2 of them out at one time. So I got both of them up here and I want to see if they're going to fit in my hoop. So here's another way that you can see if it fits in your hoop. Up here by the home button, you just push this button right there and that's going to show you the hoop that is on your machine and if that design will fit in your machine. So they both fit, so I am going to set this up on the tripod and show you how I do a in the hoop tooth fairy pillow. So here we go. It doesn't stitch out a placement line, and if you're going to do 2 tooth fairy pillows in one hooping, you should probably move your machine forward and do a placement line so you know where to lay your first piece of fabric. Now the first stitch you're going to do is going to be the placement line for the rickrack. Okay, after the placement stitching is done, then you take your rickrack, and that's where I use the Elmer's glue stick, and I just rub it on there. And then you want to place your rickrack where the bottom edge of it hits the bottom edge of that rickrack. Or the bottom edge of the rickrack hits the bottom line of the placement line. Tape might come in handy as well, Scotch tape. Then you turn your hoop over, and this is where I use the spray. And then you also take your fabric wrong side down, and I spray this part. And you want to line that up with the bottom edge of your placement line. And I use scrap fabric. So you want to carefully, I'm going to pin it, carefully turn your hoop back over. Now on the front, I give it another little spray. Then I put my body, the terry cloth. You need 2 pieces of this and 2 pieces of the mouth fabric, 6.5 by 5, or whatever fits. And then I'm going to give that a little pin as well. And then it's going to go sew the tack down stitch. When putting it back on your embroidery machine, you want to make sure that fabric on the bottom has stayed in place and not folded over so you stitch it down. So let's tack this down. And then you take it back off the hoop, and I will take you back over to the ironing board. Now it's going to stitch the tack down. And we go back over to the ironing board. Okay, so now you've got your bottom of your Tooth Fairy Monster pillow done. So I kind of give that a little glue down there. You fold that down, turn it from the back, and you fold this fabric down. Now that is the back and the inside of your Tooth Fairy pillow. You put it back on the hoop or the machine, and it's going to make the placement line for the top of the rickrack teeth. So I'll get that done and come back. Then I just put a little glue on top of the body, and then you roll this forward. Now, you leave the back like it is because that's going to be the mouth of the Tooth Fairy pillow. Now, this is where you would start putting the eyes once you roll this back up, and you leave the back down like that. But I'm going to put a name on this, so I am going to put all my back pieces of fabric back up toward the top, and I am going to pin this down. I also use the water soluble when I do the name and the eyes, but I'm going to advance forward on my machine and write her name right here. So I'm going to go get that done, and I will be back. So I just advanced her to her name on my machine. The way you do that is just hit the up and down or plus or take away button. So I'm going to get her name printed out here. And I'll show you the next step after her name's done. Okay, I got Kelsey printed out. So you will use the rest of the stabilizer for the eyes. So I'm going to flip it over on the back, make sure the fabric's down, and I'm going to pin it in place so it doesn't accidentally fold up. And then I am going to go put it back under the machine and start the eyes. So I'll go get that done. Okay, it did the eyes, did the eyelashes, and the tack down stitch, or not tack down, placement stitch. And now with the eyes, I like to put the heat and bond on it and press it down. That way it won't unravel and come up. So I think I like these eyes. Pink. I think I'm going to do pink. So I'm going to go get them stitched out, and I will be back to cut them out. Okay, I got that done. Now I'm going to cut that out. So you just cut close to the stitching. And I don't have my small iron plugged in, so give that a little press right there. I don't put the stabilizer down, and it's going to applique around the eyes. So I'll go get that done and I'll be back. Alright, the eyes are done. So we remove all the stabilizer. And I can clean that up. So what I'm going to do now, it's going to tack down the bottom of the Tooth Fairy pillow, and then I put the top on for the back. One thing I suggest before the tack down is that you kind of put a little cut in the mouth to get that stabilizer started, so you're able to cut it after you get it sewed together, because it's kind of hard to get in there after you've got it all sewed together. And so long as you got it started. Okay, so the tack down's done. I just set the back on, and it's going to stitch around it. I'm not going to take it out of the hoop because I'm making another one on this side. So I'm going to go get that done. Alright, the first Tooth Fairy pillow's done. Now I'm going to start on my second one. The first stitching will be the placement lines for the rickrack. So I'll go get it done and show that to you. And put the glue all over. Grab my rickrack, line it up with the bottom of the placement line. You can tape it. Turn it over. A little 505 spray. Line it up with the placement line. I always pin it right here. Flip it back over. A little squirt. Line that up. Now go tack it down. Alright, it's tacked down. You fold this down. Now before I fold the back down, I'm going to go and write his name on here. Alright, I got Benny's name on there. So I put my other placement stitch down, and I'm going to apply the top part of the rickrack teeth, and you put the bottom to match the top there. Then you turn it over. Put a little glue on your fabric, and you match that up with the top placement line. And I've pinned mine down. turn it back over carefully. And then you put your other piece of fabric. Whoops. On top of that. And I also pin it down or spray it or tape it, whatever holds it in place for you. Just remember, when you go to put it back on the machine, you do not want your fabric underneath folding up. So I'll go get that tack down stitch done. Now while I have it on the machine, I'm going to go ahead and do the tack down for the eyes, or the placement stitch for the eyes, and place the eyes there before because it's real easy for it to jump out of the hoop, which it did, so I had to line it back up the best I could. So I'm not going to take it out of the hoop or off the machine until I have to. So placement stitch for the eyes. And I already put the heat and bound on my eyes. Lay the fabric down, and what color I want. So now it's going to tack down the eyes, then I'll take it off the hoop and cut the eyes out after I see what's wrong. Okay, he's stitched out. Now, before you put the back on, make sure you cut through his mouth here so you can get scissors in there once you got it turned out. The tack down stitch, and then we got to put his hair on. So I just kind of put that down like that. Tape it. Put the back on, and then it's going to stitch around it. All right, all done. And I just cut around about 1/4 of an inch. Get some of that bulk out of there. And then you slowly turn it inside out. And since it's terry cloth, it's a little more difficult to turn inside right side out. But I just take my time. fleece is easier to turn right side out because it's not as thick. But then it doesn't, to me, look like a monster because it doesn't have all the fuzzies like terry cloth. And then you just push out all the corners. Remove what tape you can. Then I will give her a little haircut. And I'm going to put a bow in her hair. And see, since you trimmed that, I'm going to trim it better, but since you trimmed it, you can get in there without cutting that. And then you stuff it with fiber fill. And you sew the bottom closed and put a bow in her hair. And there is the tooth fairy pillow.